Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Post because Steven Spielberg, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, John Williams, and that's fair, all being in the same film or involved in the same film. And going into this film, I felt like, yeah, it's going to be Oscar baity. It's going to be really Oscar baity. But it's also Steven Spielberg, and Meryl Streep, and Tom Hanks, and John Williams, and it turned out to be a great film. And this is in my top 20 of the year so far, and it's going to end that way. I just need to see Phantom Thread. But this film is about the Pentagon Papers and the Washington Post. Do we print these government secrets of them lying to the public? And about the presidency going head on with the press. And this was a big thing in the 1970s. Still a big thing now. So it is relevant and does really feel like this can connect to today. And it's a very interesting film to be watching today, despite the fact that this is set around Vietnam and takes place in the 70s, which, by the way, they really captured this time so well, and all the costume design, production design, all of that was fantastic. Right off the bat, talking about that, it was perfect. Now, getting into what I usually talk about a lot in my reviews, the direction, Steven Spielberg. He balances the story with so many characters and threading in moments and all these different things all coming together to this big finale. And he's Steven Spielberg. He does an amazing job of doing it, really bringing this together and really doing something fantastic. The pacing, this is so well edited and so well written, and it keeps going to the point where it's like I never felt bored once watching this film. And it really goes, and the tone of this film, there's the humorous moments. And it's real life humor moments, not like, haha, comic relief time. No, it felt real, it felt needed, it felt like part of the characters, and that's important. And it really does hit an emotional impact, and you really feel, and the acting in this is superb by a ridiculous, so you have two huge actors in this film, Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's the lead of this film, and then so many amazing character actors all sprinkled in, and they all do great jobs. But Steven Spielberg does a fantastic job of balancing all of this information, all of what's going on, and all of this ensemble in such a fantastic way. The cinematographer done by, and I don't know how to say this guy's first name, Janusz Kaminski, who has been the cinematographer for Steven Spielberg for a long time now, and this looks like a Spielberg film. The lighting, the shots, everything. This exudes the look of a Steven Spielberg film, yet it looks so wonderfully retro, and they do such a great job with that because that's the time that this takes place in, and it really does feel like we're in the 1970s along with this going on. And Kaminski does a fantastic job of making a very gorgeous film. With a lot of talky kinds of films, you really need to be creative with cinematography, and they do some great things with it, and I was really impressed. This was written by Liz Hannon, who is a young woman, and Josh Singer, and she does a fantastic job of writing the story, some snappy dialogue. This is an intriguing story, and balancing so many different parts and different characters, and characters where you really feel like their intentions and what they're doing. The only thing that I could say that I would take away from the writing of this film is that some of the scenes seem a little showy and like, we're watching a movie kind of thing. Feel a little staged. But not a whole lot of them, and it really doesn't take you out of the film because this is such a well done film. The characters are so fleshed out, so interesting, most of them. Some of them get a little shortchanged, like one particular scene, Sarah Paulson, who I think is completely wasted in this film, as Ben Bradley, Tom Hanks' wife. She's a very talented actress, doesn't get a whole lot to do except for a very stagey, showy kind of model and like discussion about Meryl Streep's character. And it's like, okay, kind of watching a movie here, but it is what it is. And this is so dealing with so many themes in the freedom of the press and government, and I don't really need to go a whole lot in depth because it's like, duh, this is what this film is about. It is the fight for freedom of the press and the government hiding things from people, and the morality of that, or do you go to jail over doing what is the right thing for our country or for the people in our country? And it's just, do you do that? Do you risk doing that? Do you sacrifice that? And that's a big, powerful thing that they talk about in this film. John Williams' score in this, and you're expecting it's John Williams, he's great. The score in this is fantastic and is very tense, and it feels very much a part of the time period of this film, and it kind of reminded me on the same long lines of Catch Me If You Can score, but this is its unique thing, and it's very, very well done. And there's some moments where it's like they're really going with like the piano and a bit of like a jazz kind of sound to a lot of it, and it's great. It builds tension, and there's some moments where it's really building up. In terms of the actual film, I have to say, I'm not going to spoil it, but you can gather where this film might end. It feels like it shamelessly sets up for a sequel about another moment, which is really tipped in the hat in the dialogue at the end of the film about how something like this can never happen again, and then Watergate. Sorry. And that felt a little like ham-fisted, like bang over the head kind of thing. It took me out of the movie a little bit. But time to talk about the acting. Meryl Streep is so amazing in this film. She's so understated, so subtle with everything, and she's such a sweet woman in this film, but she has her moments where you don't want to mess with her. And then Tom Hanks doesn't really play Tom Hanks fun, lovable guy. He's snarky. They describe his character as a pirate, and he really embodies it. And he has a big edge to him in this film, and I appreciated some of his choices in terms of roles recently, because like you kind of got that a lot in some of the characters he played in Cloud Atlas, which I love that film. I admit that it was a lot, but he got to play like that villainy kind of role, or a bit of an edge, and he has that in this film, and he's so enjoyable to watch. But I have to shout out to some of these amazing character actors. David Cross pops up in this, Jesse Clemens pops up in this, and just all these other characters. And then Bob Odenkirk, who, if I'm not mistaken, is from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I loved him in this. He was so great, and he had some great emotional moments. Tracy Letts, who I saw in The Lovers this year, saw in Lady Bird, he's great. I'm glad that he's popping up in films now, because I know he's a big stage actor, and he does such a great job in this film. Bradley Whitford, same thing. He's popping up in so many films. He was in a small role in Megan Levy. He was fantastic as the dad in Get Out. And he did a really good job in this. And then Bruce Greenwood as well does a really good job in this film. I was blown away by this amazing cast of characters. It is a very moving and powerful true story that's anchored by some hands down Oscar-worthy performances. The one thing, it's like a lot of the other films that I gave A+ this year had like certain things that really push them up above, and this film is so technically well made, so acted so well, interesting story, themes, all that stuff, and ironically it's missing that just a tiny bit of like the it factor that kind of like pushes it above, which is why I'm gonna give The Post an A.